Get him, Leslie.
Even when the day comes. Are you ready for the day comes? Are you ready? Are we ready to speak about culture? You will not look at me and I will not look at you. We will do this together. Are we ready to speak about culture? When is the last time you checked your mission statement? Raise your hands. When's the last time you read your mission statement? When's the last time you spoke about vision for your company? Raise your hands. Huh. When was the last time you had a conversation with your staff and leadership about your company culture, your mission statement, and your vision? Last week? God bless you. Okay. Most people don't. So what do you think happens? It can be a lot of pain, or it could be a lot of pleasure. I don't know about you, but I prefer pleasure. But to get to the pleasure, sometimes there is that pain. What is painful? You've seen it in the news. Painful is when there is an employee that does not feel heard, does not feel valued, that has zero equity in what they're doing every day. And what happens now? Where do they go? Twitter, Facebook, family. I hate my job. Why am I here? Nobody loves me. We'll talk about feelings later. Okay, so if they're that painful, if you don't have company culture, and I will be on stage tomorrow talking about buzzwords, because company culture has become a buzzword. It's not a buzzword, people. It is a true value to your bottom line. If you don't understand what the person next to you is doing and why they are doing it and what leadership is happening, if you don't feel like you have a voice, I don't care about a seat at the table. Sorry, men, for a moment. They got to give us a seat at the table, ladies. Do we have a valued voice at the table? Do you as men have a valued voice? What are you bringing to the table? Company culture, it spreads over. It's not only about donut day. Now, I love a good donut and a cupcake and a glass of wine. Don't get me wrong. But do you hear me when I say something didn't go right? And here's a new option to make it go right. Do you hear me? For most companies, no. Do you know if the mission statement is the reality to what you're doing every day? For most companies, no. So I know we're all here and we all want to save the world. That's why we're sitting here, right? Somebody told me no, they just wanted to go somewhere else. I understand that as well. But if you're saving the world, who are you saving it for? Are you saving it for a segment? Are you saving it for only people that look like you or speak like you or walk like you or talk like you? Because let's break it down. Who are you speaking to? What does that mean? You can't have the same conversation with everyone. I was on a phone with a new client the other day, and they were so excited about this women initiative they're doing all around the world. And I said, that's great. What are you doing for Japan? They said the same thing we're doing for America. And I was like, well, this little black girl lived in Japan and owned a business. Trust me, you're not having the same conversation you're having in New York or Virginia or in London or France as you're having in Japan. So therefore, you need to have your audience. Now, I see some of you screaming, this is going to be some difficult conversation because we're going to talk about this because that's the issue. We don't always speak about the good or the bad. We don't speak about what makes us uncomfortable. So if you're comfortable, then everything has to be right, right? Your world is good. What happens to the person that's in the room? And that's all it is. They're in the room. They do not feel valued. It is called diversity and inclusion. That's great. We're all diverse. I hate the word diversity. We're all diverse. I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't care where you came from. We're all diverse. Are we included in the room? Is my thought process being shared? Are you speaking to me in a way that I understand and you want me to invest within your company, for which I understand I get a check, but I want more? Do you offer more? And then when you offer more, do your employees understand where to go find it? Because see, when they do, that's where the pleasure happens. That's when they invest and they go home and they go, oh my God, we're doing great things and I'm really excited. And have you heard? And do you know? And do you want to come volunteer with me? That's how volunteerism goes up. Because people bring in other people when they're excited about where they work, when they're excited about where they go every day, when they're excited about projects they're working on. But most times, 9 out of 10, that's not the case. So you have to do something better. Who's in charge? Answer me this. Who's in charge? Leadership? Raise your hands. Ooh. Really? So who's in charge? Employees? Raise your hand. Come on, y'all have got to know who's in charge of culture. We're going to have a different conversation coming up very soon. I am not leaving this stage. I don't care about 10 minutes. Because you can't do any CSR work if you don't know who's in charge. You can't do good outside if your inside is not good. Let's take that curtain. Let's open up and let's be Wizard of Oz. What's happening behind the curtain? So if you don't know if leadership's in charge, and most of you are the leaders in the room, correct? So if you don't know you're supposed to be in charge, you think your employee know who's supposed to be in charge? So here's what happens. You get department culture and not company culture. Because the other day, someone came to me and they said, I'm so excited. I do beer on Fridays for my staff, and we're really good, and I get a choice to hire, and I have LGBTQ, and I have a black girl with me, and we're just diverse. And I said, that's great, but I've known you for 3 years, and you've had 4 different amazing jobs. So what happens when you leave? You have department culture. You do not have company culture. Because see, the fish stinks from the head, and the head is leadership. And that means you actually have to make decisions and you have to buy in. And you just can't hire a diversity and inclusion person and give them that title and check that box. I'm sorry, that's done. Unacceptable. If I give you nothing else today, you need to understand that when you check the box, you got about 5 other pages to check. Are you giving them a budget? Are you giving them staff? Are you moving? Is there someone that's mentoring them? If they're not, are they allowed to move and build? Because see, here's what happens. Nothing about us without us. Nothing about us without us. Do you know what that means? It's bigger than gender, race, LGBTQ, disabilities. If you are a company and you are building an external program for regions down the street, around the corner, and no one that you're trying to speak to is in that room, what do you think happens? We get blackface sweaters. We get shoes that have heels that fall off. We have issues. Nothing about us without us. That means if you have to go to the mailroom, to the junior level, there are people that don't look like you in that room that you may be trying to speak to you. You have an internal focus group. I just saved you a whole lot of money. Start internally. If that doesn't work, then bring in people that you're trying to speak to. Because see, you won't get in trouble. Because diversity and inclusion and culture, and when I get the call, it shouldn't be a crisis situation. I will help you get out of it, but it's not a crisis situation. It should be a building, growing, and it can be a profitable situation. The nothing about us without us also implies internally. That means if I am the PR department, the marketing department, the advertising department, and yes, I'm adding the CSR department, and the legal department, and you're planning a program, you really should probably speak to me before you roll that out. Now, I know we're busy, and it's like, oh, no, we can't do that, we're busy, send it in, ship it in, send it in. But when you send it and you ship it and you do all of that, and all of a sudden you put it out and you're like, oopsie, cultural appropriation. Bob did it, Bob did it. Bob said he had a cousin that knew somebody that lived in that town that knew about that. Man, take the 5 minutes, take the hour, take the time to invest, whether it's CSR, whether it's diversity and inclusion, equity. Equity equals access. So if you're going to have someone give access to your company, that's your customer, you have to build that internally as well. How does it feel? They're pushing me out. How does it feel? There's feelings involved. I know we're not supposed to feel at work, but at the end of the day, if you piss me off because you said something that offended me, I show up the next day, I'm still pissed off, and it goes, and it goes, and it goes, and it goes. If you give me praise for something I worked on, it's okay. So feelings matter. My challenge, be better. Review your mission statement. Does it align with what you're doing? Does the people that you hire, does it work with what you're doing? Take a look around your company. Do you have department diversity? Do you have company culture? I want you to really think about that. What can you do to make it better for one person? One person. Who can you add to the room that's not a prop? That's that checkbox again. Find someone that you can build and grow and nurture into your systems. Have that liaison for the person that's speaking internally and externally for you. I want you to join me at my issue table later on perception versus reality, turning intent into action in these fields. But mainly, where'd my slide go? I want you to really, there we go, think that culture is not something that we just speak about. It's something you need to create. It takes work. It is difficult, okay? It really is. So it's time to stop checking boxes. It is time that if you say you're doing the work, do the work, or stop speaking about the work. Doing the work means bringing those that don't look like you, sound like you, or even walk like you along with you. It is time, it is past time for us to grow and to change and to build internal culture. Otherwise, you will be, and I'm sorry if there's anyone here from Facebook, but you will have what's happening at Facebook, where the employees wrote a note and said, we do not agree with what you're saying externally. We will not stand for it. Here's the problem. That should have been kept internally. I should have never known about that. That should have never hit the news. Because if you had the right culture, they would have known who to go to and speak about that. But if not, people will move it. They will change it. And guess what? You pay the price on the bottom line for it. So it's time to take the moment, figure out who are you speaking to. Is that my time? Okay, well, I'm gonna dance my way on out of here. It's gonna be company culture. I speak to you later. Thank you.